Hello and welcome back. So, today I thought we could talk about something that hits close to home for me. It's about raising a bilingual child. So, my son speaks three languages, and I've also met a lot of parents who come from different countries, and they've always struggled with what language should we speak to our child. And then often I met parents who stopped talking their language because they thought that it delayed or slowed down the language retention. So I would like to tackle this and give my understanding of the topic, and I hope you find this an interesting video. If you've ever thought about raising a bilingual child, you've probably heard some well meaning but totally wrong advice. And they said the same to me, to be honest. Things like don't confuse them or it's going to delay their talking. And I remember also at one point my son maybe took slightly longer to say his first words, and I was very worried that I was slowing down his language acquisition. And I'm really happy that I didn't stop and I didn't give up speaking multiple languages, because now he speaks three languages. And for decades, even some educators thought the human brain had a limited capability for language. And if you filled it with two languages, it would overflow. Well, cognitive neuropsychology has completely busted that myth. Today, we know the infant brain isn't a single bucket. It's a dynamic, hyperflexible network designed to map multiple languages simultaneously. In fact, speaking two languages changes the literal architecture of a child's brain. And in this brain, I want to take a closer look at the actual brain science of language acquisition and the exact methods you can use at home and that I use with my son to unlock this ability to speak more than one language, which I think is an incredible asset. To understand how babies learn languages, we have to talk about neuroplasticity, the brain's incredible ability to organize and rewire itself. When humans are born, we are what neuroscientists call citizens of the world. A newborn baby can hear and distinguish between all 800 or so sounds across every language on earth. Whether it's the rolling R in Spanish or the tonal inflections in Mandarin, a baby's brain is ready for all of them. But around the 10 to 12 month mark, a fascinating neuropsychological process happens called synaptic pruning. Think of it as the brain streamlining its hardware. The brain realizes, hey, we aren't hearing any French sounds, but we are hearing a ton of English and Japanese. So it prunes and specializes the neural pathways for the sounds it doesn't hear and strengthens the pathways for the ones it does. This is why adults struggle so much with foreign accents, but children absorb them effortlessly. Their brains are actively building the dedicated neural architecture for those specific speech sounds in real time, which is why it's so important, I think, to continue, if you can, to expose your child to multiple languages because it really is an asset. Now, let's talk about what happens when both languages are wired in, or three languages, like in my son's case. A common worry is that a child will get confused when they mix words, a process called code switching. If a child says, I want the apple verde, they mix both languages, parents often panic. But don't panic, this is absolutely normal. Neuropsychologists view code switching as a sign of a high cognitive sophistication. In a bilingual language, brain, both languages are always active. When a bilingual child looks at an apple, their brain lights up with two words simultaneously, apple and the other word for it. Then the brain has to actively suppress one language to speak the other. This acts like a constant mental gym workout for a region of the brain called the prefrontal cortex. So we go into the neuroscience of it. And this area of the brain is responsible for executive function. the brain's command center for focusing attention, switching tasks, and ignoring distractions. And because bilingual children have this amazing advantage from a young age, because they're constantly mind two language systems, studies show they can often develop stronger cognitive flexibility and problem solving skills compared to their monolingual peers. They aren't confused, as you might think. They're just, you know, struggling, not struggling, but they are improving this mental focus. It's a great asset, as I keep repeating. So, knowing the science, how do we actually make this happen at home? Neuropsychology tells us that language acquisition requires two things: comprehensible input and social necessity. Kids don't learn languages like adults, maybe from apps or passive TV. They learn from human connection. So, here are the two scientifically backed frameworks you can use. So, the first one is one parent, one language. One parent strictly speaks language A and the other strictly speaks language B. This creates a clear environment cue for the child's brain, making it easy for them to categorize their two systems. And this is what I did. So my son's father spoke his language, I spoke my language. And then at school, he spoke the language of the country. Or there's the second way, which is minority languages at home. If you live in an English speaking country, both parents speak the heritage language at home. The child naturally picks up English from school, media, and the community. This is incredibly effective because it maximizes exposure to the weaker language. The biggest takeaway from cognitive science and the biggest takeaway from my experience is consistency matters far more than perfection, like in everything in life. Your child will mix words. My son was mixing all his words. They might switch to the other language for a while, and that's okay. Don't be worried. You're really giving them a lifelong gift of structural flexibility. If you're raising a bilingual child or thinking about it or have concerns, which method are you leaning towards? Let me know in the comments below. And you want to talk about this or you have some questions, please reach out, hit the like button, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you the next time.